Welcome filmmakers, fans, and friends to Indie Cinema Showcase. We're your hosts, Christina Carmona.
And I'm Nanda Luis Roman.
And we are at Iron Pixel Studios, located right here in Orlando, Florida.
We're going to be taking a tour of the studios and chatting with the co-founders, so let's go check it out. All right, guys, I'm here with Jeremiah Baumbach, one of the co-founders of Iron Pixel Studios. Jeremiah, thank you for having us here in your studio.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what Iron Pixel is all about.
Iron Pixel Studio was put together by myself and my collaborator, Mark Russell, and we're both from the video industry.
Okay.
A lot of corporate video, some narrative, and we kind of wanted to put a space together for, I guess, guys like us or girls like us. So we have kind of put a space together very turnkey. So when somebody comes in, they can get right to work.
Right.
A lot of the things we have here are pre-lit. We've done a lot of soundproofing. So when you come in, you can get right to work. A lot of times with clients, there's a setup procedure that has to take place to get things ready. And at the end of the day, you're always running out of time. So
Right.
we want to kind of eliminate some of that setup time so you can get right to work.
So the studio itself, is it a hybrid of like narrative work and corporate work, or did you focus on one particular thing over the other, or was it something that just kind of came as you were building it?
It came after we opened it.
Okay.
So we kind of saw where things were going, and the biggest and best business for us right now, we get a lot of people that come in as like a one-off. They come in, they do a short production on the green screen or a small set, and they want to promote their product for a specific thing. Mm-hmm. Podcasting, video podcasting, has been kind of the best thing for us because we get repeat clients. They come in and they go, okay, you guys can do everything. They say, well, it's pre-lit, the cameras are already set up, you just got to sit down and talk, and then we take over and we can do the editing. Okay. And most people, a lot of them have said, you can edit? Say, sure. And then we put something together for them, and we always wow them. And they go, this is better than I anticipated. We put a little opener in it, some lower thirds. So podcasting has kind of been our big push. Right. We're making some changes to our space, and that's one thing we've learned is when you have a space, you're constantly evolving that space based on the needs of your customers.
Right.
And most of those customers for us have come in through Peerspace and Gigster.
Okay.
So those are a couple of things online people can find. It's like an Airbnb for venues,
right,
and photography studio spaces.
Now, we're actually located in one of the actual locations here in the studio itself. Tell us a little bit about this whole space here that we're at.
Well, we're in our soundstage. We're looking into it right now, yeah. And we have got a couple of things we're doing here. It's kind of bled out into this space from our podcasting studio. The podcasting was kind of set up one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And so many people have come in that have wanted, I want multiple guests. I want 3 guests. I want 2 hosts.
Right.
You know, so we've kind of had to expand what we're doing. And out here in the space we're in right now, we do have a kind of a news desk-y sort of thing. Mm-hmm. That could be for sports, and we've had some interest in that. But we're going to be building kind of like a New York loft sort of look is what we're going to be doing in this space. We're going to do kind of this brick background, and we're going to add a kitchen set we're going to build for somebody that potentially wants to do cooking shows. Okay. But it's going to be in the background of that New York loft. So when you look, it'll have a lot of depth. So it's like we'll be able to use it as the set. So that's kind of what we're stepping towards. We've looked online. It's what some other people's larger scale podcasts are. It doesn't need to look like it's in a fishbowl.
Right.
You know, it could look like it's in a real location, and that's what we're trying to emulate.
So you guys have this big studio space. You guys have clients coming. Are there any projects that you guys are working on yourself, or are you guys really focused on the clients?
Well, when you get a space, you find that that's kind of your job. You know, Mark and myself, we both have freelance clients that we still support, but here at the space, our big focus is the space and expanding it and providing more things to local filmmakers or video producers who want to produce some sort of content. So as far as stuff we're doing, I have some stuff that we have a 3-ton grip truck that we take on location. So we have some stuff we're doing outside the studio. But here in the studio, we're really focused on clients and potential clients.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. Well, Jeremiah, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. You have an amazing space here. I know Christina is going to be chatting with Mark here momentarily and ask a little bit more about the studio space, so we're going to turn it over to her. Thank you again.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right, guys, I'm here with the second half of Iron Pixel Studios. Mark, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
my pleasure. Glad to be here.
All right, so it's not hard to tell where we're at. We're in a podcast studio.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to not want to pretend that I'm doing a podcast with you right now. Maybe one day I'll be here.
I love the idea. We're here.
Right.
That's what we're here for. Podcast. Happy to do one.
So tell us about this space.
Well, the podcast studio. This is actually really Jeremiah's brainchild. When I first came up with the idea like to do a soundstage, and then I, contacted Jeremiah, and we decided to partner on this whole thing. He suggested the podcast studio. I never even thought about doing podcasts. It was just going to be the soundstage. So I said, that's a great idea. Let's go for it. And so he and and one of our guys here, Sean, who's here all the time, he's a great guy. He's one of our assistants. They pretty much put this whole studio together themselves.
Nice. And this isn't just podcast. I mean, video podcast.
Yeah, it's video podcast. It's weird, there's a phenomenon going on because it's like everybody's doing podcasts now. With the rise of social media, and everybody wants a voice, and so people are doing their own podcasts. Now the thing is, a lot of folks are doing podcasts from their home.
Right.
And that's great and all, it's fantastic. But now what if you got somebody coming in, like we had one client that flew somebody in from Las Vegas. They flew into Orlando Airport, drove over here, did their podcast, then left and went back on the plane, flew back to Las Vegas.
Right.
But my point is, like a lot of folks working out of their home, you don't want a special guest to come to your house.
Right,
To do a
yeah.
podcast. I mean, unless you like Morgan, who's got his nice studio built
Yeah,
into
that's
his
a whole
place.
other kind of
That's a
cleaning,
whole other
you
thing.
know?
Yeah, that's all. He's all set. But the
Right.
thing is like you call us and you come in and this studio is all set to go. This is a turnkey studio.
That's phenomenal. And listen, we are not well lit because we've brought our own lights. That's you guys. So you guys come with lights, everything you need.
Everything, yeah. So basically, the way the packages work right now, actually we're updating them, is the clients have choices, and that's what we want. We want this to be like kind of a boutique type setup. It's basically you come in, you tell us what you want, and we set up for what you need. In this case, if somebody calls and says, hey, I just need the podcast studio, I'm bringing my own lights, my own cameras, no problem. And you can rent it, it's yours.
Right.
Then we get clients that never done this before. They've been doing on their iPhones in their house, using Zoom calls and things, whatever, to do the podcast at home. They don't know how to do a 3-camera
They
setup.
come and see this, they're like, what
Yeah,
do you do?
and that's the reaction we get from a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very surprised when they come in because they think it's going to be one camera, and they don't realize it's a 3-camera setup.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, how does that look? And we have monitors, client monitors, and we show it to them. They're like, they're just blown away by the fact that they've got a 3-camera setup. So now you've got your, wide shot ISO, which captures the whole scene. Then you got your guest camera and host cameras crisscrossing.
Right.
So it's really very high-end production value.
And not only that, you guys have a great space,
Mm-hmm.
but also the guys running this space are very, very well known, and they've done a lot. Can we talk about a little bit about what you guys have done?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Jeremiah's done a lot of movies. I call him the movie guy. He's the movie guy. If you're going to do a movie, you talk to that
He's the guy.
right there. My background is more scripted TV type things, Discovery Channel, History Channel, a lot of home improvement shows and things like that. I was a DP on a Discovery Science show called Making of the Mars Rover. My background was in Disney. I started at Disney years and years ago, and I used to work in Disney's film and tape department, and became a shooter there.
Right.
And did a lot of corporate stuff for them there, and then it's a
But see, that's
list.
important though, because
Yeah.
you're running this place, and so essentially, when you have people coming in and they don't know how to work something, you guys know.
Oh
You
God,
guys know.
happens all the time. Yeah.
So tell us about the Whisper Room.
Oh, the Whisper booth. Okay, so basically, the other side of the studio we have. It's funny because that Whisper booth was. We weren't going to get a Whisper. I mean, our intention was just to edit Bay. Whisper booth wasn't even in our minds, but a friend of mine, he's a sound designer at Cirque du Soleil.
Right.
And he helped us do some of the soundproofing here and also rigging things. But he said, hey, I got a Whisper booth I'm getting rid of. Do you want it? Do you want to buy it? And I was like, I don't know what that is. And so he showed it to me. And it's, oh, you mean a sound? We call it, a lot of people just call them Sound Boost, but the actual product brand name is Whisper Booth.
There we go.
I said, yeah, let's do it. Let's get it up. And people love it. It's already made, making money on its own already. We just did a job last week for a movie and a 12-hour session with talents in there doing their recording session in the Whisper booth.
Now you've got some fun stuff going on with some puppets, I heard.
Yeah, we got a lot of production. We're doing a lot of treatment pilots. One is called Wolf Chat News, and it's about a dog and all his friends, and they're surfer dogs, and they surf a lot. And they also do a news program, and they're focused on doing good in the world, finding all the good, like beach cleanup, things for the ocean, all kinds of stuff like that. We actually did an interview with Philippe Cousteau, who's Jacques Cousteau's grandson. And we did an interview with him. And we did that through a Zoom call. So we actually had one of the puppets set up, and then they were actually talking to Philippe Cousteau through a Zoom call as part of the production.
Oh, that's cool.
That was really, really cool.
That's really, really cool.
And then we actually did a podcast with puppets. We actually threw the executive producer for the Wolf Chat News here, and we had a puppet here to do an actual podcast interview with him. That's kind of hard because the puppeteer was cramped. He was underneath this table here. He was cramped under there, but he made it work. Scott Hughes, an amazing puppeteer. And he was our guy. He got up here and he did it, and it was awesome. It went really well.
That's phenomenal. Well, where can people find information if they want to look up Pixel Studios?
IronPixelStudios.com. Real simple, just IronPixelStudios.com. That's our website. Has everything. It's got our venue, it's got our prices. Everything you need is there to figure out who we are, what we are, and what we can do for you.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, thank you so much for hanging with me.
My pleasure.
I'm going to take a little bit more of a tour.
Okay.
Catch up with Nando.
It's all yours.
All right. Guys, check them out.
Thank you.
Well, what a great time here at Iron Pixel Studios.
I know. I mean, this is a great location. And they even managed to fit a Batmobile here on this set.
Yeah, they did. And speaking of the set, it reminds us of our old set, right?
I'm having flashback memories.
Yeah. A big thank you to Mark and Jeremiah for hanging out with us.
As always, if you have something you want featured on Indie Cinema Showcase, be sure to email us at icstv@yahoo.com.
And don't forget to follow us on our socials, ICS TV on Facebook and ICS TV Show on Instagram.
Well, we hope you saw something you liked, learned something new, or got inspired to get off the couch and go make a movie of your own. You never know, it might be good enough for us to screen on the next Indie Cinema Showcase.
And that's it for our time here. As they say in the film industry, that's a wrap.
We'll see you next time.